and welcome to the last Build It episode of the Build It, Brew It, Drink It series. Summer's fully underway. The kids are outside playing in the sprinklers and screaming, so if you hear that, that's all it is. For the last beer in the series, and our last beer made completely with Red Shed, let me say this first. A huge thank you and shout out to the folks at Red Shed Malting, redshedmalting.ca. They've done a great job of producing some incredible grain that we've been really excited to use this year. So far, the beer's been fantastic. I'm sure for this last one, we're going to have the same result. But we're going to put it on point because the only grain in this beer is Red Shed, and there's only one. Here's what I'm getting at. For the last beer of the season, we want to do something simple, really simple. Our London Brown was well, let's be honest, it was a little more complicated. The Belgian double or the Alberta double was also a fairly complicated beer from a grain perspective. For the final beer, hey, summer's coming. Let's make it easy. I want this beer to be accessible to homebrewers who are just getting started with all grain. One grain, really simple mash schedule, simple boil schedule, and the end result, and this is based on other beers I've made like this, is incredibly drinkable, very flavorful, super simple, and believe it or not, very economical too. So for the last beer, we are building the Summer Citra IPA. Now an IPA is a big bitterness, bold hop kind of beer. They were originally intended to be a pale ale with lots of extra hops so that they could weather the crossing from Britain to India. What's happened is over the last few years, as you know, IPAs have taken on a life of their own in North America. We tend to go for incredibly hoppy but fruity hop or floral hops, but big hop presence, lots of hop aromas. Original IPAs were just really bitter. We've gone the other direction. We've taken that bitterness and we're balancing it with aromas and with good malt flavor. So for our Summer Citra IPA, it's going to be, this is an easy beer. I mean, who am I kidding? This is an easy beer. We are going to build like we have all along based on our 10-gallon template. What's important here is understanding typically grain ratios, right? The amount of one grain to another in your grist. Well, in this particular beer, you'll know your volume. Get out your Brew Toad or your Beersmith software. Figure out your profile so you know how much water you're going to use. You're going to get your grain to the alcohol level you want. That's the target, right? Because we're using one grain. Traditionally, a smash beer is a single malt and single hop smash. All right, so to start this off, we're going to use our 10-gallon template. If it just switched a little, it's because my template got broken and I had to fix it. Anyway, our 10-gallon template. So we're going to pull up our 10-gallon template. We're going to change the name on this to our Summer Citra IPA. Again, this is going to be a simple beer. One grain, one hop, and then a whirlpool hop. So it's technically a smash and a bit. Really what we're after is getting our alcohol percentage based on our brew system set as close to correct. So I'm just going to up the water to make sure that the water is correct in here. Let's add a grain. Now we're going to add our Bentley 2-row from Red Shed. We've really enjoyed working with this grain. The flavor's phenomenal. It converts really well. So if anything, I'm finding overall, I actually have to up my brewhouse efficiency in the calculations because I'm getting more sugar out of it than I anticipate. Just about every build. The last beer was just a little high. The first beer was way high. Hopefully we'll nail it on this one. We'll see. So let's just add a default amount for now. We'll tweak it in a second. We're going to set this for an American IPA as the style. American IPA because we're building a big fruity IPA. And we're going to add some hops. And we're going to add traditional IPA hop. You're probably familiar. Chinook is the hop. And I'm just going to add it all, adjust the amounts in a moment. So, in terms of our IPA, we need to get our alcohol percentage. We can take this to 7%. We can really crack up the grain and get a nice, heavy load of sugar. But I'm not a fan in the summertime of big alcohol IPAs. A 4.5 or a 5% is just fine for me. So what I'm going to do is adjust our volume here for our grain to get me to, like, I don't know, 5%. Like, I mean, let's target a real simple 4.9 SRM, 3.9% with 7.5 kilograms. 8 kilograms. Will 8 do it? 8 gets us to 4.2. Oh, we could take this to try and get this to like 4.445, and then it's still qualifies kind of as a sessionable. So let's do that. Let's get this to 8.5 kilograms. There we go, 4.4%. Perfect. I'll take 4.4%. Let's move on to our hops. Now, our hops, a 1049 original gravity, 0.9 IBUs. Well, yeah, I guess there's no IBUs because there's only a gram of hops in there. Traditionally, IPAs run in the 40 plus mark for bitterness. I don't want this to be a rip my face off. I want this to be a summer drinkable. So we kind of want to be in the midline. So somewhere around 50 is kind of ideal. Hops sell in 30-gram packages. So I always start my hop additions in 30-gram increments because it's the whole pack. I don't want to leave 5 grams of hops. I'm not going to use them. So I'll use the 30 grams or a 60 grams, so an ounce or 2 ounces, and then I'll place them in the boil where I need to. 10 minutes, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes into the boil so that I know what IBUs I'm getting out of it and can use the whole amount. So let's change this to an ounce, see what an ounce gets us. An ounce will get us 26.2 for an hour. That might, obviously that's not enough. So let's go to 2 ounces for this 10-gallon, which means you only need an ounce for a 5-gallon batch. Let's go to 60 grams, 52.4. That might, 52.4 is edging up there. I'd like to get it down below 50, but I can do that by changing the amount of time. So let's go 45 minutes instead of 60. I guess it's a 48.3. Let's see if we can hit that 50. 50 IBUs would be just about perfect. So let's see if, what about 55 minutes? 51. That means get it to a boil, give it a few minutes, pop your hops in, start your 55-minute timer. Yeah, what the heck? Let's go 55. Because this beer is so simple, it's really a matter of choose a hop you like for bittering or a hop you like for aroma, and get a good base malt that you're happy with, that's drinkable and enjoyable. And we found so far, Bentley's fantastic for this. It's got lots of power, it converts really well, its flavor holds up, and then all we need to do is mash this at the right temperature. Like, this is the easiest kind of recipe there is. I don't want a full body. I want a medium body on this. I don't want brew in a bag. I want a single infusion. No. Yeah, okay, technically I want a single infusion on this system. Batch sparge, single infusion, medium body. That puts me at 4.8%, 51 IBUs. Problem? I don't think so. I think this puts us right in the ballpark. We were going to talk about brewhouse efficiency a little tiny bit. Can't really change that in the session. You know what? Let's let it go. Oh, there's the brewhouse efficiency. Let's change this up to 78%, because that's about closer to what I've been getting. which puts us at 4.9% and 50 IBUs. We're going to run with this. We're going to run with these numbers, and we're going to try and make that set of numbers do what we need. So if you're doing a smash, set up your equipment profile, set up your volume, add grain to get the amount of alcohol you want. You're going to want to use a good base grain, either a simple 2-row, a biscuity 2-row like Maris Otter or Golden Promise. You might even want to go to a more extreme base malt, something like a Vienna as your whole malt. Pick a hop to do your bittering job. If you are doing an IPA, you have two choices in the world. You either late hop to get your aromas, or you early hop to get your bitterness, or you split your hops between early and late to get the bittering you need and the flavor or the aroma you want. In this case, we have one more ingredient to add. We have our bittering with our Chinook. What we do not yet have is our aroma hops. And I said this is a Citra IPA. Can anybody guess what's missing? That would be the Citra. So we're going to add that Citra now. Now I want to use, I don't want it to be over the top, so I'm just going to go with 2 ounces again. But instead of adding it in the boil, I'm going to add it in the whirlpool. I'll talk about this in a moment. I know my Citra is at 13% alpha acid. It's boiling, steeping. Basically, it's going to steep for about 30 minutes, starting at 160. This is going to modify our IBU number a little bit. So I might even say it's in for 15 in the steep before we get it into the kettle. But typically the steep, in the Whirlpool Edition category, qualifies as you are at boil, you take it off boil, and then you pitch hops and start chilling. This process that I'm talking about here is really a Whirlpool Edition at lowered temperature. So what we do is we wait until we hit 165 or 160 degrees. So that's the pasteurization point. And that's the point where we pitch these hops. Hops are naturally an antimicrobial, antibacterial. They don't tend to bring a whole lot of ugly with them. So usually you can get away with this with no troubles at all. We'll be pitching that 2 ounces as we are chilling the beer. So from the time we pitch at 160, we stir it in with our sterile equipment, and that's it. From that point on, the beer finishes chilling and goes straight into the fermenter. The result is very little isomerization of the alpha acids. You get all of those aroma and flavor compounds come through, but they don't get bitter or don't get more bitter. It does mean that there are more available non-isomerized acids in the hops for yeast to isomerize, and yeast can actually increase your IBU if you're using a dry hop or something like that, but it's a very small amount. And in this, we're already talking 50 IBUs on a very light beer. You're not going to notice it anyway. So I just set that in. I put it in as Admiral because I'm dumb. Let me delete that. Let me add hops. Let me add Citra because I wasn't thinking, because I was too busy talking, because I'm really excited to get this beer going. There we go. Citra, we're going to get it in for, as they said, 60 grams, so 2 ounces. It's going to be at 0 minutes, and we are going to use it in the whirlpool. Okay, there we go. So our IBUs have not changed because we're doing this in the whirlpool. Our alcohol, 4.9%. Estimated original gravity is 1.050. That's a 5% beer. As far as I'm concerned, if your OG is 1.050, it's a 5% beer. That's basically, there's your middle point. That's it. That's the recipe. It's so simple. Simple. So don't be afraid. New homebrewers, if you're doing brew in a bag, that's fine. Do this 1 grain. Crack it. Get your local homebrew shop, your LHPS. Get them to grind it for you. Figure out what your recipe needs. This is 8.5 kilograms. That's about, I don't know what, 15 pounds? No, about 18 pounds for 10 gallons. So it's like 8 or 9 pounds is all you need. 1 grain. You get 2 packs of hops. That's it. You're done. Very inexpensive way to make a recipe. And frankly, there's something to be said for the simplicity of this kind of beer. You know it's going to be inexpensive. You know it's easy to make. And you're laughing. It's just that easy. So that's it. That's this. That's it. The last beer is going to be the easiest beer because we did all the hard work earlier. Summer Citra IPA, a 5% sessionable, almost sessionable anyway. Summer IPA, bright, light, Citra, fruit. You're gonna get tropical fruit flavors, citruses, and a reasonably good malt backbone to hold it all up, and be a simple, drinkable. This is to me the ideal lawnmower beer. We're not shooting for a 4.5-star beer here. We're shooting for a good, daily drinkable IPA. And that's it. That's the third brew. That's the last brew in this series, the last beer in this series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I can't wait to get Brew Day underway. And we will see you in the next episode. And I hope you continue to join us right through to when we get to sit on the patio and drink this beer. For myself and for the Ranger Bob Lance, who's been helping me with these brew days. Really glad you could stick around. Now I got to somehow figure out a way to get these recipes all finished, packed up, and sent out to Luke. That could be tricky. Again, thank you to Red Shed for helping us get this series off the ground and by providing some incredible grain for us. Amazing people. Again, redshedmalting.ca. Homebrewers, you can talk to them on their website about where to buy it. And if you're a commercial brewer, well, number one, I don't know why you're watching me, but cool, thanks. Try them out. I know Alberta has been taken by storm by Red Shed, and I know that they're just keeping up. So I'm really excited to see that happening. Cheers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next episode.